So fire. Fire is one of my greatest teachers, and it's an element many of us in today's world, there's a lot of fear around fire. And it's one of my missions to ease that fear and to bring back a deeper connection to the fire that our ancestors had. All of our ancestors had a deep connection to fire. Without fire, they wouldn't have survived, and we wouldn't be here today in the way we are without their relationship to fire. And in today's world, it's so easy to get a fire going. We have matches and lighters and all of these things that are so convenient that it kind of makes us take fire for granted. And something I love that I was taught from a young age is how to ignite a fire in the old way, the way that our ancestors did, using a stick. This little magic wand here has the potential to create fire, and it brings a much deeper relationship and appreciation to the warmth and the comforts that fire bring, and especially when you're out in the middle of the wild. You don't have a lighter or matches. How are you going to get a fire going when nighttime comes and it starts getting cold, to keep yourself warm through the night? And this is something you can do pretty much wherever you are. Find a stick and another stick to create fire. And this is just they call it mare's tail. It grows all over the sides of roads and highways, and it's a common weed that you can find. You can also use mullein. You can use mugwort stalks, you can use elderberry stalks, and this is a piece of cedar that I found and carved with my knife to be flat, and together they can make fire. So I'm going to share some of the teachings and show you how to make fire with a stick. Yeah, so to me, this is like a symbol of the masculine. It's like the sky, the pillar, and this is a representation of the feminine, like the earth. And when a man and a woman come together, they can create life, and it's the same with these two. But there has to be the space for them to meet. If I was to try and create a fire just by putting the two together, there's nowhere for them to meet, and they just kind of slide all over the place. And so I create the space for them to come together and to make energy. So I carve a notch, a hole where they can meet. And I do this just by using a knife. You can also use a pointy, sharp stone if you don't have a knife, but a knife makes it much easier. And you just work it a little bit until there's enough space that the stick, when you spin it, can stay exactly where it is. And it's good. Sometimes the end of your stick can round out a little bit from making many fires. It's good to just flatten it out a little bit. It'll help create more friction, so you get more heat as you spin the stick. And this mare's tail has a soft, pithy center. And to me, it's like the 0 point field. It's the void, the center where the energy is still. So everything is spinning around that point, and that point is where the fire comes from. So now we can put the two together. And make energy. You can see it's starting to smoke, but all that energy is just spinning off in every direction. And so in order to make life, we have to focus that energy into an intention or a channel. So I take my knife and I carve a little V, a little channel that all that energy can be focused. The wolves are howling. You're gonna help me get this fire going. So we carve our V and take it almost to the center of the circle. And it gives it just enough space so that it can touch that middle part of the stick where our coal is going to emerge from. So now we're ready to make life. But before we make life, what do we need before we bring a child into this earth? We got to have a nest, a place to place that life where it can grow and have everything it needs to really thrive. So there's many ways we can make a nest. And you look at the birds and they make it with all kinds of beautiful things, grass, bark, string, and I like to use a mixture of things. This is just some grass growing from the land here, and I like to weave it a little bit into a nest. It's good to make it as soft as you can. The birds like to have the softest part of the nest, the place where they lay their eggs and where their young are. And I have here some cedar bark. Works really well as an inner layer. I just carve some of it off. And this, I like to break up, and it gets really dusty and fine and soft and feathery. It makes a really good place to put our ember when we create it. it's good to take your time making a nest, there's no need to rush. It's good to make it as soft as you can. We want our babies to be comfortable and be able to grow properly. So one of the biggest mistakes usually made when getting fire going this way is rushing the nest, and then you get a little ember and it doesn't have the proper nest, and so it burns out. So it's good to take your time when making a nest, especially if it's raining out or snowing out or super windy, to have a proper nest that can protect our ember. And I also have some mugwort here. Works really well. It's very soft, and you can grind it up, and it's like down, and it smells good too. So now we have a little nest. And with that, we can begin to create life. So now we're ready to make a fire baby. And, it's gotten pretty easy for me to make fire by myself. But if you're practicing and just learning, it's much easier with friends. So I encourage you to share these teachings with the people you love and to practice together. You can take turns as you spin the stick. So here we go. It's good to breathe. And like that, we have life. It's good to just give it a little air. Don't blow on it too hard at this point. Too much and it'll just blow off into the wind. So just some light airing. And now it's ready for our nest. And we tuck it in and give it some breath of life. We have fire. So, fire is something that we don't need to be scared of if we're really in tune with the fire and in right relationship with fire. It has the potential to cook our food and keep us warm, and to even help with life, with nature. A lot of these wildfires we see in California are due to a lack of fire, actually. The indigenous people here for thousands of years had a beautiful relationship with fire, where they would use fire to help with the land. They would do controlled burns to keep the forest from being overgrown. And it's been a while since they've been able to do that, and so we see a lot of areas where the forest is too thick. There's too much brush and too much fuel. So when a fire does happen, it gets out of control and can get really big. But fire is a beautiful, beautiful teacher, a beautiful friend. So I'm so grateful to work with this friend of mine here. It's saved me many times in my life, kept me warm on cold nights, and helped me cook food when I was hungry. And yeah, it brings so much comfort to my life. And I'm so happy to share these teachings with you. So thank you for watching.